This is Maniacal Incorporated. Welcome to my attempts to reacquaint myself with Cultist Simulator. How do you describe Cultist Simulator to somebody who hasn't played it before, or somebody who has never heard of it? I have no idea. It's something I've tried to do many times and failed. Abstruse. That's one way of describing the game. What is this I don't even? That's another good description. I've seen it described as a narrative, story-driven card game. That really does a disservice to it. I picked up this game pretty much back at the very start, back in, must have been June of 2018. I was fascinated by its development process. I was fascinated by the concept. And I played a good chunk of it in June and July of 2018, got one of the minor victories, and I haven't played it since. So what I want to do is, I want to actually get back into this because, as you can see, I have the Perpetual Edition. Ooh, fancy. Which again means that I got it back at the very start, and it means that I have gotten all of the DLC for free. So those who hold the Perpetual Edition, who bought the game back in the early days, get the DLC for free, and the most recent, and I think the final DLC was released, the Exile expansion. And I did actually, after 2 years, I loaded up the game again. I played a short game with one of the new, when I say new, they've been around for a while now, but one of the classes, again this will make sense in a couple of minutes, one of the classes that was introduced with the expansions, with one of the later expansions, and then I tried Exile. Oh my god, I was not prepared for that. I have no idea what was going on there. So I want to get reacquainted with the game, I want to get back into it. And what I want to do, or what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to go for one of the easier achievements that I didn't get 2 years ago. It's the Corner Office achievement for those in the know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a cult, and I'm going to use it to get a job. I'm not actually going to go for one of the occultic victories whatsoever. So you might treat this video as an introduction, because I'm not going to be going, through a full-length game and kind of maybe spoiling any of the endings for you. So you might see this as an introduction, or you might just see this as a man fighting with insanity as he tries to get a job as an accountant. I think it's an accountant, or it's just an office job. Like I said, I really don't know what else to say about this. It defies description, so I'm just going to start straight into this and try to explain as much as I can as we go through the early stages of the game. So, this is what our play area looks like. It's a table. That's all we got, is a table with legs. So, we're an aspirant alone in the city, chilly city even, with my useless education and my dreams. What now? Could I become something more? I'm sure it was going to say that at the end. So, aspirant, we can see that down in the bottom left. I'm going to name our character shortly. But an aspirant is one of the classes, and you can be a detective, you can be a physician, I forget what else. You can be a priest with one of the new expansions, some kind of fortune teller, or a tarot card reader, or something like that. So there's all these different classes you can be, and they lead to varying different starts. The aspirant always starts this way, with one verb on the table and one card. And what's basically going to happen is that as the game continues, we will receive more verbs, and we will receive more cards. And we have to figure out how they all interact with each other. So what we'll start with is we're going to click on the work verb. That's what this is, because a hand with an eye, work, obviously. Earn a living or practice the invisible arts. And as you can see, there is a slot here which will take a card. Now, it's not much of a challenge to guess what card is going to go in here, but we can actually click on the slot and it will illuminate cards on the table that can be placed in here. And cards have aspects. I don't know if that's an aspect or not. I actually have no idea. Nope, it's not an aspect. But these things are aspects. So ability, benefactor, desire, right, and this final one, job. What's this thing? Scholarship. Oh yeah. But job. So what this is saying is that this work slot will take a card that has the aspect job, and you might be shocked to know that if we click on menial employment, it has the aspect job. The other thing, of course, we can do, like I said, is click on the slot. It'll illuminate all cards that can fit in here. And I think if we X out of this window and actually click on this card or drag it around a bit, it will illuminate all verbs that will take it. And that's basically what we're going to be doing for the next while, is just trying to figure out what cards go where. Menial employment, a precarious position as a hospital porter. Miserable, but it's all you can find just now. So we put that into the work slot. We're going to work our job. Another shift, mopping the darkened hallways, delivering post to hollow-eyed invalids, trundling corpse-laden gurneys to the basement. And we click on start, and what we're going to get is a little countdown. In this case, it's 10 seconds until this card resolves, I suppose, and something happens. So we can either X out of this and let it go, and as soon as it does resolve, I'm going to hammer the space key to pause the game and take in all that's just happened. First of all, we've been given 2 cards here. Another shift at the hospital is ended. We can use the arrow keys to go back and see what it said previously. Halfway through your shift, the head porter beckons you aside. We won't require your services any longer, he says. Here, your last payment. We've paid you through the end of the month. That's awfully nice of him. I have lost my job. At least now I have a little time to rest, and my health improves. So it's a capital H, which means that, I don't actually know what it means, but it means it's a thing. It's one of these cards. And Dream is now unlocked. So if we look at these 2 cards, we have Funds and Health. Click Collect All. Where do we start? We might as well just look at Funds first of all. As you can guess, this is what we use to keep ourselves alive and what we use to buy things, and it has an aspect ingredient, so it can be included in things later on. Health. This is my body. There are other bodies, but this one is mine, and my mind needs it, as a fungus needs soil. With enough vitality, you can gain more health. Again, a capital V, so vitality is a thing, and it has aspects. This is an ability, and it's also heart, and it's also an ingredient. So at this point in time, you should begin to understand why this is such a difficult game. And when I say difficult, I don't mean difficult as in hard, but it can be difficult to just get to grips with what's going on at the very start. And in general, it is a lot of just dragging these cards around and trying to find ways of combining them both together and with different verbs. So, speaking of which, a new verb has opened up, recall my dreams. So this is actually the dream verb. So, a cloud with a star. Dreams. Once again, I dream of a glow beneath the filthy skin of the world, the light through the black wood, the pale door, the old man. And as you can see, it's running. So in a couple of seconds, it's going to run down. I'm going to let it run down. There are a couple of things we could do here. I could actually work my health. So I might actually just demonstrate that very quickly. If I click on health and drag it around, we can see that I can actually put my health in here. Backbreaking work for meager pay. Is this the best I can do? But I'm not massively pushed about that, so I won't bother. And as you can see, I just kind of put it on fast forward there just to speed it up a bit. So another verb has it's a verb. It's kind of a verb. We'll see now in a second. So recall my dreams. It began when I spoke to the old man in the hospital. He knew my name, but he's dead now. The pneumonia. Why do I dream of him still? What is the cobalt light in my dreams? And we have gotten yet more cards. We now have contentment. I'm happy, I think. And again, it has light and lantern and heart as its aspects. And we have passion, which is dull minds are never either intuitive or mathematical. And again, this has more aspects. So for now, I'm just going to collect these. And we have this card. A change in the air, I need funds to live. But perhaps this recent upset in my circumstances is a secret blessing. Is there something to my dreams? There is a change in the air. Again, I'm just going to let a lot of these run down just for the first couple of seconds, or for the first couple of minutes. The start is pretty much always the same for the aspirant, so I know where this is all going. And we're going to see now in a couple of seconds. The other thing is you'll see that this contentment card is also running down. There isn't a huge lot that we can do with it at the start, but as it says, it defends against dread, but it doesn't last. Contentment never lasts, don't I know. So what's going to happen, keep your eye on the contentment card as the clock winds down. And it's gone! So a lot of these cards actually have a timer, and they need to be used within a obviously, a specific time, or they're gone, and you no longer benefit from any benefits that they might have had, so you can't use them. So I could have used that contentment there to do various different things, but now it's gone, so I can't. A bequest arrives, a letter from a solicitor. The old man at the hospital, the one I dream of, has named me in his will. I'll hear more soon. And again, we just hit our spacebar, let that run down. I have it on fast forward for the first couple of minutes. And it resolves, and the bequest arrives. The old man has bequeathed me a sum of money and a packet of peculiar papers, poetry, riddles, metaphysical speculations. For the first time in months, here is some fuel for my reason. And study is unlocked. So what I usually do is I flip over all the cards just to see what we have. So we have reason, we have a bequest, and we have lots of money. So I might have thought that this was the funds card. It's going to pop up in a second. We are going to have to start paying money in a couple of seconds. And that actually starts when the when we study the bequest. So before we study the bequest, there's one or two things that I really want to do very, very quickly. And again, this is what happens when you have a kind of a knowledge of the game. We can click on study, and we can see that basically we can take any of these cards. Let's study money. Okay, we can't study money. Is it telling me I can? It's not telling me I can study money. That's the only thing I can't study. But we can study health. Long walks kill cobwebs. So we're actually going to do this. So your health, your reason, and your passion are a representation of your health is a representation of your physical body, passion is a representation of your creativity, and reason is a representation, I suppose, of intellectual pursuits is maybe what you would call it. So here, what we have generated is we've generated 1 health and 1 vitality, and again, this vitality has a countdown. It's going to end in 178 seconds, and we know in this case that we can study a health in about 60 seconds. So we can get a second vitality before this first vitality runs away. Now, what in the name of Gob is going on over here? A couple of things are happening. First of all, time passes. So, time, the sundial's shadow passes. I must have funds to live, or I will become ill. So what this card will now do is there is no way of getting rid of it, or what this verb will do is it will use that magnet to suck up funds from the table. No way of getting rid of it. You must have funds to survive, so we need to figure out some way of generating an income. There's actually a good chance that this is going to generate a vitality for us as well, so we're going to end up with 3 vitality. Yera, it doesn't matter. So again, we just hold on for a couple of seconds, we let it run down, and there it is. There's another vitality, so we didn't even need to do this. But you'll see what we're going to use these 2 vitalities for now in a few seconds. And this is usually one of the preps that I always do at the very start. And you see, it ran down, and it's after sucking up another one. We get our health back. Now we have 3 vitality. But how about this time, if we click, we can study the vitality. Oh, once more vitality. Okay, we'll give it another one. I am abrim with vitality. If I devote some time to exercise, I'll benefit. So click start, we let this run down. I have a slight bit more preparation to do, and then we can start on the bequest. And even at fast forward, this does seem like a small bit of a chore to get this done. I could be dreaming about stuff as well. And this is basically what the crux of the game is trying to just trying to get all of this stuff kind of balanced, basically. So exercise the body. I've grown stronger. I've gained health, but it'll be more difficult to gain health the next time. And if we look at the cards we've gotten, we now actually have a brand new health card. So we have 2 of them. And we have a skill. It is an ability and aspect strength. There isn't a huge amount of use for this card in future, so I usually put it off to the side. But by getting it, we now have 2 health. And it's possible that we will get verbs which will pop up. They will take our health and convert it into an injury. And that injury can then become permanent unless we treat it. If you run out of health cards, you die. So I find at the very start, it's just a nice bit of housekeeping to get your health up. And now we have 2 health cards as well. As you can imagine, if we do the same with our reason, and we're going to do that very quickly, we can get a second reason card. And I forget what this guy's doing. What hungers drive me? Okay, this is looking for something, and if it doesn't find it, it generates restfulness. Restlessness. A restless longing has me. I feel that I want to do something. What exactly? So what this card is basically going to do, it's going to turn into dread, and dread can kill us. There's a good chance it'll turn into dread. So again, it's a mechanic within the game to push you forward, to basically prevent you, technically, from doing what I'm doing at the moment, which is just chilling, illin', maxing, relaxing, and not actually pushing the game forward. So if we study health, we get vitality. If we study reason, we get erudition. Erudition has other uses other than what we're just using it for at the moment. And here is another thing that's popped up. There's our dread. The sun flickers like a shadow. Dreams ripple behind the surface of mirrors. I must be careful not to drift from the waking world. This one takes fascination. And if we had fascination on the table, it would be sucking it up right now and preparing to kill us. But what we have is dread. And again, the dread will eventually go away. And there are ways of getting rid of dread as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of concerns in this game. A couple of things have happened. We have a fleeting reminiscence. A moment in time. In another moment, it'll be gone. And at the moment, there's nothing we can do with it by the looks of it. It has an aspect, Secret Histories. What could that be? Memory, influence, so there's lots of different stuff. So here's our reason. Here's our erudition. And now we stick the 2 of them in there and we start. I've picked up odd facts here and there. If I spend time studying what I've learnt, I could increase my reason, and that's exactly what we want to do. This card is, again, it's looking for something. What temptations do I have? What's my drive? Well, I don't have any, so it's punishing me. We could get a card on the table quite shortly that will start looking for dread, and if it gets 3 dread, we're in trouble. So, our money has ran quite low. We've got a skill, scholarship, and a second reason. And as you can see, it is saying that we can use our reason to work. Or it should be. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Find clerical work. Find work, which will spare my body, if not my mind. And we get this, this fancy thing in the background. I'm just going to see, is there anything I can dream about right now? I can dream about dread. But I need something else. I need something with the aspect. Well, I need contentment. It doesn't say the aspect of contentment. It just says I need contentment. And the 2 of them will destroy each other. Now, I don't have any of that at the moment. I can't dream about restlessness. It's saying I can dream about my scholarship, but I can't. I can put the card here, but I can't do anything with it. What else is it saying to me? I can dream about passion. But I know for a fact I need something to actually dream about. I can dream about reason. Often it is healthy to let the mind wander in sleep, but if I keep dreaming sooner or later, some sort of monster will arise from my own fears. So I'm gonna leave that alone for a couple of seconds. And I am also going to start studying this bequest, and we have different ways of approaching this bequest. Am I going to study it with reason? Or am I going to study it with passion? So, am I a passionate individual or a reasonable one? Now, I know that reason will lead to 2 options, and I have already won the game with one of them. So I'm going to do passion. Again, I'm not actually intending to get one of the minor victories. There's minor victories and major victories, and then there's victories in air quotes, and it's that last one that I'm going for. I'll read, theorize, pace, sketch, clutch at my hair in wonder, rise in elation, collapse in despair. That's a pretty good description actually of the process of playing this game. And as we can see over here, we have found some clerical work. Glover and Glover have offered me a junior position. I start at 8 sharp tomorrow morning. So I'm going to accept them just for the moment. And what you can see is that I have this job. It is a junior position at Glover and Glover. it will fade in 88 seconds. Now, it doesn't disappear like you've seen some of the other cards. What it does instead is it transforms, and actually, it'll transform just like this restlessness will. That's exactly what it will do. And it will transform basically into a... You haven't shown up to work for 88 seconds. Where the hell have you been? It's kind of like not showing up to work for a day or two. So I need to constantly work this position if I want to keep it. I don't get much money for working this position. It's quite tough and it can be quite demanding. So what I want to do is I want to get a promotion within this company. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a cult and I'm going to use it to get me a position. So we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, we're going to work our job. We start. Now this is where the hassle begins. The scratching of pens, the sourness of dust, the sighing of the younger Glover, the greedy gurgling of the elder. So it wants diligence, and it will take reason. It will only take reason. So we need to start giving it reason. If I only had the one reason, I'd be in trouble, because if I need this for something else, so it was that bit of housekeeping at the start was a good idea. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change my name. All I want is an easy life. I want a job. I want to go someplace. I don't really want to go someplace. I just want some money. I want comfort. And I'm going to use the occult to get that comfort for me. All I want is to be an accountant. So what we're going to pretend is that we are back in the early 1900s, probably in London, and instead of becoming involved with revolutionary Irish politics, Michael Collins has very simply fallen into the grips of W.B. Yeats, who was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and Yeats has promised him the use of occultic powers, to gain himself a nice, comfy position. And that's what he's going to do for himself. He's going to get himself a nice job. So we're going to be Michael Collins trying to become an accountant instead of doing anything else. Now, we've studied our bequest. We got our passion back, which we put in to study it in the first place. My correspondent describes my dreams exactly. They use names that are instantly familiar. The house, the wood, the hours, the glory. I sense here a power that generals and kings would envy. A new desire burns in me. There is a note here, directions to a bookshop that does not advertise its wares. So we have a number of different cards, which we will collect. There are a number of bizarre looking ones, and already the table has started to fill up. So we have directions to a shop, directions to moorlands, cryptic directions to the obscure address of a certain moorland, a dealer in the rarer sort of books. We have a temptation, power. It has occurred to me that I hold the key to power. This card will allow you to win a power victory if you upgrade it far enough. Dreaming about it might advance or change it. What the hell does all that mean? Notes on a possible collaborator. My correspondent has recorded his observations of me. He believed I had potential. He recorded his observations of someone else, too. With time and study, perhaps I can find that person. So the collaborator is basically the old man who bequeathed all this stuff to me. And we also have this oddity, a smith's secret. In 5 continents, smiths have whispered the same words to the iron. Murderers have been known to whisper these words too, and adepts, of course. These words are spoken in ritual to inspire an unmerciful change. Ah, that seems pretty clear. So it's telling us lots and lots of different things we need. The writing here is fascinating, and of course it comes from the mind of Alexis Kennedy, formerly of Failed Better Games. He did some writing for Stellaris as well. One of the rather interesting... what's it? The Signal and the Worm, is it? I actually haven't finished that one either, and I need to do that as well. So the mind of Alexis Kennedy is a fascinating and strange place. The lore that he has generated here is absolutely amazing. And there's another game coming out, the Book of Hours, and it's inspired by this. So it'll be interesting to see how similar that is. Already we can see that we could have studied a Smith's Secret, but let's start with directions to moorlands. We're going to study these directions. The directions to Moreland's shop are cryptic. When one deals in the kind of books my correspondent studied, one must be circumspect. So we will start that. We're seeing that one of the dread is fading away. Oh, it was going to fade away, but it's been taken by this. Dark days, I must be careful not to let doubts creep in. Dread may provoke full-fledged despair. This will kill me. Now, it's a pity that it took this one, because it was about to run up in 18 seconds, but in 52 seconds, it's going to take this one. And that is slightly problematic. There's a number of different things that we can do. There's a number of different things that we can do here. We can try to get contentment somehow. There's a couple of different ways of getting that. We will push on here just for a few seconds. Need to zoom in. We found Moreland's shop, an ill-lit street, at an ill-favoured bend in a lesser river. A soft yellow light through a grimy window. Miss Moreland nods as I enter, but doesn't rise. I never ask the names of my clients, she informs me, before I have time to introduce myself. So we now actually have a card for Moreland's shop, and it is a location. I'm going to put that to the side. And we now also have the Explorer card. And we can explore. This is another aspect, requires knowledge. Lore. So just like this one over here, it's a piece of lore, but it's a completely different color. How very interesting. And isn't it also interesting that this card and this card are the same color? I'm sure it means something. But what? We will study notes on a possible collaborator. Ooh, I don't like doing this. There's various different reasons why. In times of a special crisis, I might visit a discreet pharmacist to purchase a tincture of opium and make my dreams sweet, but only in times of a special crisis. This is an expensive and risky way to gain contentment. It might provoke sickness or despair. So we could end up in a bad scenario here. Hopefully we won't. So I have gotten a promotion. This isn't the promotion I wanted. Mr. Alden, the supervisor of records, has called me into his office to recognize my diligence. I watch the mole on his neck as he talks and talks and talks. But at the end of it, I have a promotion. My new position is better paid, and the desk stands at the street window, but I work directly for Mr. Alden now. Mr. Alden is known to be exacting. I think Mr. Alden needs to be taught a lesson. Now, as you can see, my reason has dimmed, so I actually can't use it again for 55 seconds. Ugh. But I need to begin my position at Glover and Glover in the next 54 seconds. And we got one fund. So that was a lot of work to just get one fund. And we're basically just going to go on a merry-go-round here. Working. Okay, various things have happened. We've gotten some contentment, so that's good. And what we can actually do is we can use the two of them to cancel each other out. We can start dreaming about them. Now, there is a bit of a problem. My breathing has been laboured. My thoughts confused. Perhaps I should not have indulged so freely in that cure for pain. So basically, he's probably going to become injured and an acquaintance. So this is find a potential collaborator. Mystique, again, that has an aspect reputation. Who would be interested in my reputation? Possibly something will pop up later on. And here is now a talk verb. So we can work cards, dream cards, study cards, explore cards, or talk. I want to see how this resolves, first of all. Speak of the devil, and he will appear. Now, as you can see, my health, I've become unwell. My health has been taken in here by the magnet, and what I'm going to get back is a sickness. And if I can't heal the sickness, that health card becomes useless to me. So, we remember how we got vitality the last time. This card is an adversary. Someone is meddling, and they are going to use Mystique to try and form a court case against me, basically, to try and gain proof that I am partaking in nefarious activities. We also kind of heard a cha cha cha, and that basically means that my attention needs to be drawn to something. Mr. Alden is being a devil. I do not believe that you have properly understood the importance of our work here. This task will require your full attention, so we need to actually dedicate reason to the task. So Mr. Alden is being demanding. We've met an acquaintance. The reply to your letter is courteous, if cautious. They are intrigued by how you found their name, intrigued enough to meet you. So this is the acquaintance that my benefactor, the old man who died in the hospital, told me about. So basically, this is where we're pretty much coming to the end of the intro now. We have all of the verbs that we'll have from an early stage, the main verbs. And we've met Porter. He's an acquaintance. He was a barber until the court case. So at the moment, he's just a random dude. We haven't met him. We don't know who he is. And we're going to see what we're going to go and talk to him in a couple of minutes, basically. So there's a lot of work that we need to do from here. We need to actually, I'll let it continue on for a couple of seconds, and we'll watch what happens with a few things. First of all, our adversary. There's always someone who doesn't understand, or who understands too well. This troublemaker may seek evidence on my activities to share with the authorities. And we have gotten a weary detective. We have came to the attention of a weary detective, as always Irishmen in London do. And he is going to try to form cases against us in future. If we get mystique, he can use that to create cases. There are certain other things that he can use also to create cases. So we need to balance our mystique. You can see that our dread has started to cause us problems. Now our health has started causing us problems. Our need for money has started causing us problems. And I haven't even began the process of starting my cult. I'm going to let a few more of these run down ever so quickly. So what I did here was I dreamed about dread and contentment, and now my dread is gone, and I've instead been left with a fleeting reminiscence. And interestingly enough, we can actually explore this fleeting reminiscence. Usually doesn't turn out to be anything fantastic. It could be contentment. We might find something nice. It could be something not so nice. Here is our talk. Now we can talk to Porter, but what do we talk to him about? So if I click start, it will ask me what I actually want to talk to him about. We could talk to the weary detective, arrange a meeting with an adversary. But generally, that just generates more mystique. You know, you don't really meet with a guy who's following you to who's following you around. You don't really meet with him for coffee. And let's see what happens with our job. On this occasion, I have determined that your work is of an acceptable standard. You may go. Be punctual tomorrow, please. God, I hate Mr. Alden. We're gonna teach him a message. So again, we get our job back, and this time we actually got 2 funds. So that was a bit of an improvement. And straight away, it's just a merry-go-round of work. And we get more of these every once in a while. Thrists and interludes. This, I believe, is actually one of the newer ones. I do not remember this from when I played 2 years ago. So this is one that came in with some of the later DLCs. So there's no kind of clear point at where to stop and call a halt to the proceedings. I don't know if you saw what happened there, but solitude some days are better than others. Sometimes the sky is nothing like a filthy street. Sometimes the river runs clear. There was a card here, but it's vanished. It was actually magnetized. It was pulled in here by the magnet, and it's contentment, and this contentment is going to cancel out this dread. So that was fantastic. The 2 of them will cancel out, and this thing will disappear. If we come down here, I have gained an affliction, and in 179 seconds it will become permanent. Cure your affliction with funds or vitality. This is probably the last thing I'll do, and I will take a break, bring this video to an end and then start a new one. There are two ways that I can heal my affliction. I can either pay, or I can provide vitality. And I am... Oh, look at that for timing. I get my health back, my vitality, and we can go and do the two of those. So if I didn't have this second health card that we got at the very start, I would have had to have paid there. So I find it a bit more beneficial for that reason. Ooh! So this was our fleeting reminiscence. I took a bit of a chance that it'd be something nice. It's not. It's going to get pulled in here. It could have been something different. It wasn't, always going to be Dread. It's going to get pulled in here, so this thing will stay active. So there, I think, on that mini defeat, that's a good place to end it for now. I'm going to stop this video. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to start a second episode, and yeah, continue on. So, thank you for watching this. I hope you are enjoying this brief, convoluted, complex introduction to this complex and convoluted game, and I hope that you will join me for the next couple of episodes as I live out my dream of becoming an accountant.